Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at multiplicity, which is something which is really cool and it's fairly easy to do. So we're going to be using Adobe Photoshop for this demonstration today. So the first thing I need you to do is to follow along with me. So we're just going to go to File, and instead of using File Open, we're going to go down to Scripts. So we're going to go File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack, and what that does is it loads multiple layers into your palette without you having to drag and drop each one individually. So File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack, and then you're going to find your images. Now what I've got here is I've gone outside and I've taken the dog, which is walking through my garden, and I've made sure that I've tried to take her at different spots. I've also made sure I've had a tripod, which makes it easier to start with so that you can align your layers very easily. I've used a tripod. I made sure I had on manual exposure so that I didn't want my light meter tripping up depending on how close the white dog came back and forward and so forth. So made my exposure right to start with and then kept it on that so it wouldn't change exposure, and I had it on autofocus. So I'm just going to select 3 files now that um, will not be overlapping each other, I hope. So I'm just going to do file 1, this one here, 4013, 4016, and I'll try, I'm not quite sure what's in that one, but I'll just go for this one as well. So we're just going to go file OK. And you can see here how it's now placed those images into your loading layers area. And then we're just going to go OK. So now that puts that into your layer palette, and it stacks the layers on top of each other, as you can see there. So over here now we have got on our layers palette, we've got 3 images which are stacked up. Now the first thing I'm going to do is decide on which image I want as my main central one to start with. So I'm just going to turn the eyes off here just to have a look at the images. There's this one here, there's that one, and there's that one. So that's in a pretty good order to me. So the bottom one is the one we're going to, that's our template, that's our main one. So we're going to start by working on the top one here. So the first image that you're going to be doing is this one here, and you're going to be going into your layer mask. So we just click on a layer mask, and I'm making sure that it's on white here, and we're going to be using our eraser for this. I've got the eraser set on 100% because I'm not necessarily needing any fading at this stage, and I'm just simply going to make sure I'm on my layer mask here, so clicking on that, didn't need that, and white and eraser. So first thing we're going to do is make her disappear. So abracadabra, and you can see how she's disappearing there. So once you've gotten rid of her, and I might actually add some of that shadow in as well. So now she's gone. And you can see over here on your layer palette, the little black dot. That's what we've just rubbed out. You're now going to take the eye off that one, and we're going to repeat the process with this image, the second image here. And I just put the eye back on that, and I'm going to click on this layer so you see where it's highlighted. I'm then going to use my layer mask again, so you can find add layer mask here. So it's the third one along on your layers palette. Click that. So I've got our layers mask here, and making sure that it's white here, because layer masks always use black and white, and your eraser tool here. Checking it's on 100%, and we're going to do the same. So she's chasing after a little bit of pass-through, so I'm going to add that in as well. It might be rubbed out, not too sure. So now I'm just going to, no, I don't have to be too careful with this because the background's all the same. It's when you run into difficulty is when you have got different backgrounds, or that your perspective has changed, or the tonal color of the background slightly changes because you haven't had it on manual exposure. And so all of these can add variables to this, but I don't have to be too careful because my background is the same. See how it's, as soon as I rub it out, it looks the same there. So we're just going to rub all that out. Awesome. And I also am going to add this shadow in too, because that's the important part. Now what you can see here is that I'm starting to go into the new layer. So I don't really want that. So I'm just going to go black and just get rid of that for now. That's okay. I can leave that little bit in there. Alright, so that's as hard as it gets. So now we've just got the magic moment. So we're going back to our base layer here. We don't need to do anything to that. We're keeping this layer as is. So that's my dog Nina. She's just there, and she's in the garden looking for the noodles that I'm throwing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to our top layer, and all of them are invisible. Nina is invisible at the moment because we have rubbed her out. We've blacked her out, as you can see there in the little dot. Now all we need to do is basically invert it. So inverting means whatever's black is going to be white, whatever's white is going to be black. So that's pretty easy to do. So you can either do the shortcut, which is Control I for invert, or if you forget that, you can go up to Image Adjustments, invert there, and you can see the shortcut there, which just says Control I. Me loving shortcuts, I will go to this here and go Control I. Now you can see how in the layers mask palette over here, it's now gone from white to black and black to white. And all of a sudden you can see Nina appear in the background there. So basically what I've done is now it's like I've blacked out everything else except her. It's much easier to do it this way. Saves a lot of time. So I'm then going to go and do the same here. So what's the shortcut? Control I, you got it. So Control I, again, so now we've got our image. So you can see how I've just Controlled I, so which is basically inverted it. And now we can start to see there's all three images there, and that's your multiplicity. Pretty simple, hey? So the basic philosophy is, or philosophy, the basic pretense is that you make sure that you use layer masks, that you use black and white, that you erase out, and then you invert it. There's three simple steps. So stack layers. So make sure that you stack your layers. So we've got to make sure. So we're just running through what we did as well. So we're going to go, we went to File, we went to Scripts, we went to Load Files into Stack. What does that do? It puts it into your layers. And that's the first step that you do. The second thing is that you arrange your images what you can, and then what we're going to do is we use the layer mask. I don't need a third one, I'll just delete that. You use the layer mask and you check that it's on black or white, and that you use your eraser tool. So that's three simple ways, and you can see it looks pretty real. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to just merge that down and make it into one layer. So how do you do that? Well, there's a couple of ways. You could go to Layer, Flatten Image, or you can go Control E, which is merge down. So it basically merges every layer, the top layer down to the bottom ones here. So I'm just going to go Flatten Image. So now we've got one layer again. And then I'm just going to save it, and probably would tweak it, make the levels and things happen as well. So I might just do that now. So I'm just going to go Control J, duplicate it. I'm going to go Control L just for your levels there. Add my darks in a bit better. My lights. Yep, take my highlight down a little bit there. Just going to add some more mid-tone into that. There we go, looking much nicer. So I just adjusted the levels, so made it a little bit more creamier, contrasted. Control E, and that's looking pretty good. So that is as easy as that. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to, when you actually are overlapping the images, it gets a little bit harder. You have to be a little bit more careful, so we'll look at that next. Thanks for listening.